Good morning, everyone. It looks like a big weather system is on its way to the United States, and it's going to bring a few things we need to watch out for, including a return of some stronger storms with the chance for gusty winds and some hail. And over the next few days, we could also see a few spots with enough rain to cause some local flooding, particularly across the central and southern plains. And on top of all that, it looks like the end of the month, right around Thanksgiving, is going to get chilly for many of us, with some snowflakes possibly on the horizon. So in today's chat, we're going to walk through everything you need to know to plan for your weather over the next 7 days. Let's start with what's happening across the country today. Right now, we have an area of unsettled weather centered over Nebraska and Iowa, and this is actually bringing a little sneaky chance for some stronger storms today back over in the lower Midwest and the Ohio Valley. We're talking about some gusty winds and maybe even a tornado or two being possible later this afternoon. We'll talk a bit more about that in just a moment. Meanwhile, back on the West Coast, a pretty big storm is now moving into California, and a whole lot of moisture is pushing up into the desert southwest right now. We even have a small chance for some stronger storms in Arizona today, where we can't completely rule out a brief tornado. That's certainly something you don't see every day in that area. This storm will then travel down into the southern plains over the next 48 hours, and it'll bring another round of stronger weather to places like Texas and Oklahoma, and then eventually toward the Mississippi River Valley by Friday. Now, let's talk a little more about where these stronger storms might pop up over the next few days, starting with today, which is Tuesday, where there's a slight chance for some rough weather. This includes parts of the Ohio Valley, including Indiana, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Missouri. The main thing to watch for today will be some strong wind gusts and maybe some large hail, but there is a small possibility of an isolated tornado or two. And one of the main reasons I'm pointing this out today is because there's a very slim chance one of those could be a bit stronger if all the conditions line up just right. We won't really know for sure if that will happen until later this afternoon. We have some showers out there this morning, and once they move through, the atmosphere is going to get a bit more energy, and if it does that quickly enough, I could see a tornado or two trying to form. We're not certain it will happen, but the right ingredients will be there for a few hours this afternoon. So, this is definitely an area to pay close attention to and have a way to get warnings. Then, as we head into Wednesday, the chance for stronger storms will shift back over to the southern plains. The Weather Service is showing a small risk for parts of Oklahoma and Texas, where more gusty winds, hail, and perhaps a brief tornado will be possible. To be honest, I don't think Wednesday will be a major weather day, but it's something we'll be keeping a close eye on for folks near Dallas-Fort Worth and also Abilene, Texas. And then as we look at Thursday, it's interesting, because the Weather Service doesn't have any risks outlined just yet. I have a feeling this will change in the next day or so, but we will probably see at least a small, if not a slight, risk for stronger storms added for parts of Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas for Thursday. Strong winds, some large hail, and a couple of tornadoes will likely be the main things we're watching for. Now, one very interesting thing about today's weather setup is that the conditions are looking a little more ripe for. This map here shows the values that tell us where those ingredients might come together this afternoon. It's not a very big area, but there will be a narrow little corridor where a storm system, a cold front, and a warm front all come together. That meeting point is what we're watching. So, we'll basically be keeping an eye on storms that try to develop in southern Illinois and western Kentucky between about 2 and if any of those storms can form on their own and really get going, there will be a chance for a tornado. And I want to be clear, in this kind of setup, we can't completely rule out a strong tornado. Now, it's not the most likely thing to happen, because all the rain and storms this morning are helping to keep the atmosphere a little more stable. But if things heat up quickly this afternoon, we will absolutely need to keep a very close eye on this area for the possibility of a tornado or two popping up. The good news is, it's a very short period of time we're concerned about. We're only talking about maybe 3 to 4 hours before things really start to calm down after sunset. So, let's walk through the timing for today so you can plan your afternoon. Showers and thunderstorms are going to keep rolling through this morning. Then, as we get into the early afternoon hours, we'll be watching for the atmosphere to get stirred up again back over near the Mississippi River Valley, which could create a few of those stronger, more organized storms. I'm really only expecting 1 or perhaps 2 of these separate, stronger storms to fire up around 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. And then, between 5 and 6 o'clock, you'll notice the storms don't look all that organized. But this is the area to watch for a potential isolated tornado, some gusty winds, and hail that could be as large as golf balls. And then by 8 or 9 o'clock tonight, these storms will be moving into parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. Once they move over there, the main concern will be the wind, as the tornado risk should go down quite a bit by the time they get closer to Nashville and into eastern Tennessee. Now, looking beyond today's weather, we have a few other things to chat about, as a couple more storm systems are on the way, including one for Wednesday and Thursday. So, the storm that's currently moving across the Ohio Valley, that one will be moving out of our hair by early tomorrow morning. There really won't be much left of it by then. But on Wednesday afternoon and evening, we'll need to watch out for some scattered severe weather, mostly in central Texas and southern Oklahoma, with a chance for some wind and hail. There's even a small chance for an isolated tornado during the late afternoon and early evening. Thursday, however, is shaping up to be the main event when it comes to both severe weather and the risk of flooding. That's because we'll have a lot of moisture coming in from the Pacific and also pulling up from the Gulf. And all of that is going to meet right over Texas and Oklahoma. So, you can expect plenty of rain and some stormy conditions there on Thursday. This looks to be an all-day kind of thing, where some strong winds, some scattered hail, and maybe a couple of tornadoes will be possible during the daytime hours on Thursday. Then, by Thursday night and into Friday morning, that storm system will continue to bring the chance for at least some spotty severe weather across the Mississippi Valley. And then on Friday, it will keep tracking to the east. The good news is it should gradually weaken as it moves into the Ohio Valley, but before it loses its punch, there could still be some very isolated patches of severe weather in Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, or Arkansas. After that, the rain will continue across the mid-Atlantic from Friday into early Saturday. Then, by Saturday and Sunday, this whole system moves out, and that's where the forecast gets a little tricky. One of our weather models is suggesting that, yes, we could see another big storm right at the beginning of next week. And that would mainly be across the southern plains, where more severe weather could be on the table. Now, on the other hand, another one of our trusted weather models that we use often on this channel, which is usually quite reliable, doesn't show that storm system happening. Or, if it does happen, it wouldn't be until later in the week, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. So, there's a bit of uncertainty right now about what exactly is going to happen next week. But you can be sure we'll be watching this very carefully for you, because if that first scenario happens, we could be in for some more severe weather. And then, looking way ahead to the very end of November, right around Thanksgiving, it looks like a shot of very cold air could come down from Canada, bringing a big chill to a large part of the country. But once that happens, there's a good chance we could see one or two little winter weather events, whether that's a storm or just some pretty snowfall, so we'll be keeping a close watch. I'm thinking that could be toward the very end of November and into early December, but of course, nothing is set in stone just yet. It's still a little too early to know exactly where any snow might fall, since we are looking at more than a week from now. But this is a pattern we're watching very carefully for you, as the computer forecasts are starting to show some very chilly Arctic air for much of the United States around that time. Now, one of the biggest changes you'll be feeling over the next few weeks will be the temperatures. Right now, most of the country is enjoying weather that's a bit warmer than usual for this time of year, with very few places feeling cooler than average. And as we head toward the end of the week and into the weekend, it looks like more of the same, so not much is expected to change. But I do think we'll start to feel a real shift by the end of November. That's when a lot of the computer forecasts are hinting that we're going to see at least a good shot of cold air, maybe even a true Arctic blast. And it looks like that would be arriving right around Thanksgiving. This map right here shows Thanksgiving Day, and this particular forecast is still suggesting the potential for some very cold air during that time. That would be for parts of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. I do want to stress that this is not 100% certain, but the patterns we're seeing continue to point toward colder than normal weather being likely around that time, at least across the northern part of the country. And then, as we get into early December, we'll likely see a few more waves of that cold air as stronger storm systems help pull it down from Canada. So, there's a lot to keep an eye on for the end of the month, but for the next week or so, things should stay pretty calm and quiet for most of us. Then, as we look toward the middle and end of next week, we could see a lot of rain in the southern plains, but it all depends on that next storm system. And if that were to happen, we wouldn't just be talking about the potential for too much rain in some spots, but there would also be a chance for some stronger storms. It's all yet to be determined, but that is something. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's forecast. If you're new to our channel, we'd love for you to subscribe down below.